All right, good morning, good evening, and good night from where you might be watching this one from. It might have been long since we last met. My name is Dr. Naftre Gademba, and today we are going to have an interactive session on how to develop a good research topic, especially for students or beginners. And as you know, sometimes when you're beginning a new undertaking, it's always a challenge, or sometimes you may feel overwhelmed, but it doesn't have to be so, because there are those people who have undergone the same. So today's session is just to demystify as well as to unleash you to the field of or to the area of research, and to show you that it's not that complex as it seems. I know most of the people that might be watching this now are the undergraduate students from those in final year of their studying bachelor's of science in civil engineering. But I know later on, because we are archiving this one in this live stream, we are archiving it on YouTube. I know there are people who might come later on and watch it. Maybe you are in your master's or PhD area, levels of study. The concept of developing a research topic or research title are almost the same. Well, with different levels, of course, you need to advance. You need to broaden out to deepen the scope. But for today, I'm targeting the beginners. So those who are starting their research just now. And without wasting or spending much time, I'm going to project what I plan to be showing you today. And I hope you get something from this. So you, like this guy, is asking, is my idea a good research topic? Because when you begin or when you contemplate of doing a research, of course, the first thing is that you have an idea, but you're asking, is it a good research topic? But before we go to that, let's ask ourselves, what is a research topic? If we forget first the word good, but what is a research topic? What you notice or you realize that a research topic is an area of focus that falls within a particular discipline or a field of study. So like now I can say, I know most of you know that I'm biased towards structural engineering. So that's a broad area, structural engineering. But within that discipline field of study, there is an area of focus. I might not want in an area of structural engineering, I want to look at building, and maybe I want to see low-cost building. So that's a topic area. Somebody may want to know about the eco materials. That's a particular area of study in the field of structural engineering. If you're in water engineering, somebody may be interested in the area. They have seen an issue with the water quality, maybe in their locality. So they want to look at the water treatment. Somebody else may want to look at the water conveyance. So you would look at the system, the piping system. So the topic is that particular or the area of focus within a particular discipline. And you should note that a research topic is different from a research title. So a topic is not the title. So you may ask yourself, what's the difference here? But we have seen that the research topic is that area of focus within a particular discipline. But now a title is far much specialized in the area of focus. So we said the field of study is water engineering. The area of focus is water treatment. Somebody else is in water conveyance. Somebody else might be in what do we say? Maybe in water engineering might not have a wider scope. But let me go back to civil engineering. So civil engineering is civil works, for example, roads, constructions. So I might say that the field of engineering is highway engineering. Then I'm looking at, somebody may look at flexible pavement. Maybe they want to see an alternative material. Somebody else may be looking at the aspect of labor, low cost labor, or labor-based construction techniques. So that is the topic. But now in that topic, somebody want to study the factors maybe that affect. So once you narrow down the research topic to a particular area of focus, now that's when you have a title. And if you can see in my the title of my presentation today, I have added something. I said how to develop a research topic and title. because I realized people might confuse the two. I want to talk about a broader aspect, but I realized that somebody may think that a topic is a title. So I narrowed down and I said, let's look at both of them and how to generate. Because first of all, from your idea already is based on research topic. Then you need to narrow it down to research title. So we may wonder now, what makes a good research topic? Or my idea, that area I'm thinking of researching or looking at, what makes it a good research topic? The first thing is it research worthy, right? So is there a problem that is worth investigating? And then, what is the end goal of my research? What do I anticipate to achieve from this research topic or from my idea? Because the research or the purpose of a research is to achieve a certain end goal. You want to solve a certain problem to a certain scale. The level of solution or that are anticipated from an undergraduate research is not the same as that which is anticipated from a PhD. And something here, maybe, sorry for this. I have just realized that I did not share the screen. Pardon me for that. Yeah, I am monitoring. I've monitored that. I've not shared the screen. But I hope now it should be coming in the next like 20 seconds. So sorry for that. Let's wait for that. Let's wait for the share. Yes. So this is where I started. So I'm just going to go briefly because I'm on slide number 3. So my question was, we are here. First, you are saying, you are wondering like, this guy, is my idea a good research topic? Because you have an idea that you contemplate on doing research on. So is it a good research topic? That's a question that you have. And that's what we want to look at today. And then I've said, what is a research topic? Before we come to the issue of a good topic, we want to see what is a research topic. And that's why I was giving an issue of the discipline, that a research topic is an area of focus within a particular discipline. And I gave example like discipline in water engineering, discipline in structural engineering, highway engineering. And then we narrow down to that area that you want to focus. For example, in water engineering, you say water treatment. That's a broad research topic. But in water treatment, somebody may study the effect. Somebody may study the causes. Somebody may want to evaluate the constituent element or chemicals, or even can go even narrow down to a certain chemical. Want to see the level of fluoride in water, maybe water from shallow wells. So that's narrowing down. That's a research area, research idea, which is a research topic. Then for you now, the way I'm saying, if you are in water engineering, that's a field, and then you come to water treatment, that's a research topic. Then you narrow down, you want to study the effect of a certain chemical. You have now come down to the research topic. And that's why I made a statement that a research topic is not the same as a research title. Because a topic is wide. Within a certain discipline, you are going to look at a topic, if it's water treatment, and then you narrow down. In water treatment, do you want to study about the effect or how to use local available material? And then you select one of them to study how it can be used to purify. For example, I know one of my friends was doing about the Moriga, or I think Moriga, other people do aloe vera. So now that's narrowing down from that area of focus in a certain discipline is what brings about the title. But I say that I have edited something in the title that you see on YouTube, that initially I wanted to look at develop a good research topic. But then I said, from topic, we have to go to title to differentiate. That's why now I introduce our title, because we need to narrow down. Finally, what you're going to present maybe in the next 1 week or 2 weeks for those in undergraduate at JQuat is a title. So what you should go to your professor or your lecturer today is topic, right? So like the student I'm going to meet on Thursday, they should come with a topic. And topic, that is what we call a concept. So you can come and tell me, I want to investigate the effect of recycled plastic waste on A, B, C, D. That's broad. That's, you have said that's a title. But if you want to say, I want to look at how to use recycled plastic in construction without specifically saying which recycled plastic and all that, that's a concept and that's a topic. Then we need to narrow down. And we are going to see how you narrow down to come up with a title. Now, what makes a good research topic? This is what the slide I was in before I realized I had not projected. A research title or topic, sorry, a research topic or a research idea have to be research worthy. I mean, if the topic you're proposing to investigate doesn't have a problem, so being research worthy means there is a problem that exists that needs to be investigated. So it might be a good topic as it looks to people, but you realize that when you come to find that problem, the problem you are saying is not worth investigating. Maybe one, there is already an existing solution. Or two, within the scope of your area, because you have to understand another thing. Research depends with the field and the discipline, because we have come from a certain discipline. So somebody else in water and soil engineering may want to do another, the research within the same field of water and environmental engineering as somebody who is in water engineering, who is specialized in civil engineering, or somebody else in, even somebody outside civil engineering might want to do something in water, right? So their approach might be different. So the worthiness of a research based on the, first is the problem that, does a problem exist? And is that problem worth investigating? Is there a solution that has already been proposed? And is that solution adequate? If it's adequate, then there's nothing to investigate. Number two, what is the end goal on part B of this, research worthiness? What is the end goal of your research? What do you want to achieve from your research? And finally, for it to be research worthy, who will benefit or how will it be of benefit? Because again, if we are just doing a research and then we get the result and we write a report and we put it in the shelf, like it doesn't help anybody. Remember, there are different levels, outcomes of research. There are those research that you can come out with a solution in the field. But there are those research that can be theoretical, that you are contributing to the body of knowledge. And most of this, the research, people are worried because sometimes the research that you're going to do, you find like you're not getting to the end product that is going to the field. Remember, most of the people that achieve the Nobel Peace Prize, they are in pure sciences. So most of them came up with the theories. So for us, for example, in civil engineering, we are applied scientists. That's why now we take from the theory, we come up with the end product there. But it doesn't mean that your research is not research worthy or it's not strong enough because you're not going to develop a product or to an outcome which is being applied in the field. It might be theoretical, advancing the body of knowledge. For example, we have I come back to structural engineering. But now here, I know everybody, my undergraduate have gone through this, the theory of simple bedding. So you have the equation of bedding. So you might want to verify that and then add something else. You say, this theory of simple bedding, we can modify it to incorporate the new materials, because when it was being developed a century plus ago, maybe the new materials that we are having, the polymers, were not in existence. So then you find it might have inadequacy, or it might not be accurately reflecting the current scenario, the material that we are using. So you might research on it and propose some modification. So you see, you have not given a new product on site, but you have helped to advance the body of knowledge. That means your research is research worthy. And here now I point out, like there's somebody, I don't know, people have seen this in my YouTube channel, where I posted the previous year's undergraduate student in JQuat presenting about design, structural design. Structural design is good, and I have no problem with it. But if your topic of structural design, if the problem you want to investigate, get me right here. You have you want to do a structural design, and I'm not figuring out this one like to say it was not good or it's good. I want to show you how it's a good project, but maybe not a research project, unless unless there is a certain problem that you're investigating. So remember, if it's a problem you're investigating, it means you have to have those parameters that you are going to vary. So let me use one of my students here, because I know he might be around, and it's good because we are going to discuss this, to show you it's not bad, but maybe the direction that we are taking might not be right. So if you say I'm going to design a multi-story building, and then you just take a manual and you design following the steps from Eurocode or from BS, but your problem, the one you said, was that there is a shortage of parking or accommodation in a certain town, for example, in Kitui. But then when you just come to executing your work, we might allow your research to pass through because you showed us there is a shortage. But when you come to the methodology, you just conduct a design. So the variable of what we expected was, you are talking of shortage in a certain geographical location. How are you capturing that in your research? So let me give you a very good design project that was done maybe some 10 years ago by one of my colleagues. He was studying about the challenges of flooding in Budaragi area. Budaragi area, for those people not in Kenya, is in Western Kenya, and sometimes there is a lot of flooding. So he was proposing floating structures. I know floating structures have been built in developed countries, for example, Japan, and they have even a port that is built on sea. Okay, one of them is not floating, but we have others which are floating. But now what he was incorporating was, he was taking physics of buoyancy, he brings those equations, then he was using locally available materials, because he was using just empty plastic jars, and then he was making them airtight. Then he designed a raft. Then he was studying the issue of the buoyancy effect and now the actual design, which now you see it's not in the code, because he is using locally available material. So it was a very good design. Sometimes you might see because this is undergraduate work, somebody proposes a design project and just sails through. But now today, I'm giving you a guide, so that when you are deciding on your topic, and I'm not discouraging people in design, when you come to the design, now you have to tell us that problem statement. If you tell me this is the problem statement with this and this and this. For example, there's a person who did another good one. He is saying about the code, and he was comparing different codes, right? And then he was looking at the inadequacies of the code. That's a very good. And then he just conducted a normal design. Then he looks at the result, the outcome, the accuracy, and comparing with the manual calculation. That's a very good investigation, right? Somebody else was also doing comparison between flat slab and the frame structure, the one with the beam slab design. And then he was looking at the cost after he calculated the reinforcement. That's a good investigation, if there's nothing in literature that have been done. But if you just propose a problem and then you don't handle that problem statement or incorporate it in your methodology, during presentation of your result, you always have problems. And that's why you find for undergraduate, it might go through, but for masters, it might never, because you are not actually addressing. You gave us a problem, but you are not considering parameters that are going to root cause solve those problems. Number two, of that, what makes a research good is it feasible? Now, feasibility, it's like, can it be executed? Now, this one is, you can consider it in various aspects. For example, you're undergraduate, and there is the level of skills that you have. And sometimes when students come to me and ask me to give them a research topic, I think of something, then I start imagining of their level of, maybe this is the beginning levels. So I find like it might be so tasking to them, unless if they are willing to learn new skills. So first, the feasibility is your know-how, your skill, and also the equipment in our lab. You might think a broader, very broad, or very novel, very creative research topic or idea, but can it be executed within our lab? Remember, you can go to other labs, but then the other thing of visibility comes into play. Do you have available resources? One of them is finances. The other one is time. Because you remember, as an undergraduate, you have other research areas that you're doing. But for PhD, you are unlimited. Because if the funding is adequate, if you need something, you just import. Like when I was doing my master's, I was importing strain gauges from Japan. But now for undergraduate, there are areas that we if I tell you to use the data logger, and I know like the data logger one in the lab is being used by a master student for power, then you might be limited. Well, we might use it for now, but I'm just trying to give you an example. Feasibility, will you be able to execute it within a limited time period? You have already realized it's research worthy, but is it executable? And finally, this one, don't forget, personal interest. Because again, if you do a research in an area you are not interested, I'm telling you, because research is a journey to the unknown, you should be excited as you try to investigate. Because even though in at the end of the day, you are going to see a curve, and this one you are going to experience it very soon. So you find like you are investigating something, and then you get a result like this. You are presenting this kind of result. This is a trend that we show, but in the lab, you are not going to get data like this. You're going to get figures jumping anyhow. You know, you want now to change your methodology. You want to see what, because there are some outliers when you come to analyzing your data. You find like this one, are they really part of my thread? Can I incorporate them in my thread? So if you're interested in certain field, you find like you find time even to do more literature if you and to read and to investigate further. But if I just come and give you a topic, well, I can't give you a topic and guide you to give a topic, but the interest has to develop from you. And that's why before I give a guide to students, I always like to hear from them initially, what is your idea and what are you open up to? Because I don't want to somebody who is in who is in materials, and then I give them a project that requires structural, mechanics. So if it's in mechanics, for example, you're going to do a lot of computation, and maybe that was not your interest. So focus on your interest. That's what makes it a good topic. Research worthiness, that's for everybody. People who you are presenting to want to see whether it's worthy. Feasibility is about you to know whether it can be executed. And interest is whether it makes you or it's enjoyable to you as you do it. All right. So after that, now we look at sources of a research topic. Where do we get research topics from? And this list I'm giving here is not exhaustive. It's not. One is from observations. There was a student, I don't know whether she is here, Trona, is it Rona, Tracy, told me that she was working in this UK scenario. And I'm talking from JQuat. So for those not in JQuat might not relate with this. And she told me she was walking around the University Avenue, the Hospital Avenue, and he shows a building there. And that building, I didn't know the truth about this. I told her to go and investigate. Like it was settling, or they have been settling for some years. That's observation. And then she was interested in, wanted to know what was causing that settlement. Or now you see, already from that observation, you might start thinking of the area of foundation engineering. You want to see foundation in expansive clays, because we know the area that building was located is black cotton soil mixed with some kind of clay. So you may want to study, not specifically on that building, but you want to see if our structure is resting on expansive clay soil or from black cotton soils. How do we handle, or if we use a raft foundation, we want to compare between raft foundation or just the normal pad footing. You can do that kind of a comparison to see which one will be cost effective and as well as bringing about safety in your design. So it's a good from observation, what you observe. Again, from pop-ups. Pop-up is from current or fresh idea. You might stay like this and then a fresh idea comes in. You might be like Einstein. Yeah. But as a graduate, I would not like you to go in this direction so much, because getting a really fresh idea means that you have studied deep to know that there is nothing like that in existence. So for undergraduate and master students, and even at PhD level, when you are start a researcher, before you become a senior researcher, I would advise you to focus on building your research from other people's work, from what have been done. what was their recommendation. Okay, let me not go ahead of myself because that's the other point. So, like current ideas you see in the news, a building have collapsed. That in itself can start provoking you to think of, is this a probable area of research? And now when you start going deeper into that from those fresh ideas, of course, interest we have seen about it, I wanted to come in number 4, literature. So once a fresh idea comes into your mind, you see a collapsed building, you want to know what are the causes. Now you have to go into the literature. You just go directly to Google or whatever your search engine is. You type causes of building failure, for example, in Kenya, and you look or you search for literature, latest literature. Have there been anybody who have tried to investigate this? If they have investigated, what was their recommendation? What was their findings? What was the remaining gap? Okay. So that's another source of research topic where you can get it from literature. And then from existing theory, the one I gave initially, like you may have a case whereby you find you are having a theory that have been proposed. I gave a theory of simple bedding, but then new materials have come into play like polymer, and then you want to investigate, can that theory of simple bedding or whatever theory you want to investigate, is it applicable? Like now, nobody have done this, and I can give this idea to people who are studying it. People have been proposing about using of recycled materials, recycled plastic, incorporating eco waste, eco materials, like waste sodas and all that. But people have not advanced to the level of seeing the existing design theory, maybe interaction equation. For example, the equation like how to calculate the moment for that beam. Does it apply both for these materials when you have incorporated these materials in the beam, the same way it acts on normal concrete beam? So that kind of an investigation is interesting because it's from existing theory, you are verifying whether they're applicable in this kind of a research idea that you have. And finally, from different areas, from discussion. Now, this in literature, I might want to mention something here in literature that literature is the one that will really give you the direction to take. Because once you identify a topic and you find like it might be of interest or it might be worth investigating, you have found it's research worthy, you found it feasible, you found that it's within your interest, okay? Then you start digging deep. First of all, you do an overview, not a literature review, but a literature overview. Overview is going through, like perusing, to see what is in existence. When you start coming now to review, you start looking deep into the literature. From the recommendation of latest work, what is it that they did? What did they suggest that can be done? And it's very easy to get research topic, by the way, because you just need to go to latest a number of journals in a reputable journal, not just any journal. You go there, you take a number of papers in the same topic, for example, discussing about causes of failure building in Kenya, and then you go to the recommendation. What did they recommend? At least for undergraduate student, we might not require so much of you, but for master student, your work is going to be published online and in the reputable journals. So it's going to be seen by other people. So you want to build your work from other people who are in that same field, so that first of all, you have the frame of reference and you have the reference materials that you want to look at, so that now you can be able to build your work and show the gap. Okay, too much with the sources of research topic, but you see, the list I said is not exhaustive. You can get your research topic from as many areas as possible. Literature review, reading journals, reading articles, reading your previous year student work, and so on and so forth. Now, next, we want to look at how do you choose a research topic? And I know most of you now are interested in this part. How to choose a research topic. And again, there are different approaches, but I find this one to be simple and more applicable, especially for applied scientists. First, you have identified what is your research area. And from this research area, you choose a topic that is appealing to you. So like now already, I have seen a schedule for undergraduate student in JQuad that shows the number of students who want to go to the field of structural engineering, those who want to go to the field of water engineering, and those who want to go to transportation as well. And for, I don't know which reasons, I have seen the list for structural engineering is always quite long. So I don't know, maybe in structural engineering we are a bit easy. And anyway, so you came there, or you are suggesting that field because you are interested. That's the area of interest. Like even in the future, you'd like to work in that area, or even to advance in that area. So from now that topic, that is from that interest area, structural engineering, you look into a broad or wide field and identify your interest. For example, I say structural engineering, water engineering, you go to water conveyance. You want to look at water conveyance. You might be in structural engineering or water engineering, but there's a certain area you don't want to look at. You might be in highway, but there is a certain area, for example, design of flexible pavement you don't want to focus on, or you are not interested in. Maybe you want to focus on materials. So if it interests you, that one's the first step that you choose the research topic. Remember, this one starts in order of priority. This comes first when you are choosing a research topic. But in the other one, we said what makes a good research topic? Interest was the last. Why? Because even if you are interested in some area, but then there is nothing to be investigated in that topic, you need to modify it. So look at both them, not as two independent entities, but look at them as one entire unit. How to choose a research topic and what makes a good research topic. Now that you're in the area of interest, because you have already chosen that, do what we call a background study. Background study, the area of research you said is from the field, you go to a certain topic, broader topic that you have. Your idea, that is the idea that you have. Now start reading slightly. And this one, I want to call it literature overview. Because literature review comes when you are writing a proposal. But overview will help you to know what have been done in that field in the recent past. So you want to look at the surrounding, background study surrounding, local environment, problems that need solution. For example, you have so many problems that need solution in low-cost housing, in the quality of water in Kenya, in the environment. By the way, if you are doing a research in the environment, you are what I want to. I'm trying to get the correct word. Okay, so it's diverse. You can apply in various fields. You don't necessarily have to operate within civil engineering, because like issues of environment, the UN is so much concerned about them. Yeah, issues of water, issues of pollution, they are multidisciplinary. It might not be like the case for I am in structural engineering. When I start talking of steel connections, maybe now I'm specific to structural engineering. But for you, when you talk about the issue of pollution, there is a certain gas. You may find like somebody or a field in chemical engineering, they are interested in that, and so on and so forth. So in the background of study, once you look at the surrounding and the local environment and the literature that have been done, and you have seen that there is a need that needs to be investigated, you need to define what is the aim of your research. So I don't know whether I should be mentioning this. So maybe for those who might watch this one later. So we are saying in the area of interest, you choose a topic. Choose a topic that is appealing to you. All right. Then in background study, we are saying you look at the surrounding. You look at the local environment. Before you even go to books, then you look at problems that need solution. requiring solution. Okay. And then you can define what is the scope. So here you can define what is the scope of your research. Okay. From defining the scope of your research, or not the scope, maybe let's start with the aim. What is the aim? Aim of your research. And then from there, this is when now you do the literature overview. Okay. Overview, I'm calling it overview because it's not detailed literature review. So this is now where you're going to identify the research gap. You identify the research gap. Okay. I hope I can put this one here. You are going to identify the research gap. All right. So here you are going to identify the research gap and areas that need to be explored. The research gap will tell you the areas that need to be explored. So I hope you are together. I know the research area, the interest already you have shown, you know what is your interest. Then you need to go further and do background study by conducting what I'm calling literature overview, because you want to find out whether your research or whether your idea, how have there been other people who have investigated the same? And if not that, and that's why I always find students who hide some information not being so wise. There are people who say this one have not been investigated. Well, you might not have read white. So your idea, you should tell us what have been done, so that now you tell us from this latest research and backed up by maybe 3-4 references, which are latest. You tell us this is what they suggested, this is what they did, this is the small part that I want to investigate. Remember, your research gap doesn't have to be, actually, for undergraduate master students, you are not coming up with a new theory. Well, it's good if you come with something that you can patent, but first narrow down, because we are talking of a beginning researchers. So first, let's get that small area, small gap that needs to be investigated. And this one usually comes from the literature review. What were the recommendations of the past researchers? So that is from the background, literature overview from the background study. Finally, once you have done that, you need to define what is, or you limit your genre, or you limit your scope. Limiting your scopes now narrows down to the topic, because you have seen your research interest. From the interest area, you have your idea, you know what field you are in, what is the topic, then you have investigated what they have done, then you want to limit. From what they have done, I want to limit maybe only to the effect. Maybe I wanted to know about maybe the fluoride in shallow wells, the content fluoride and the effect and the impact of fluoride in shallow well in Juja area, in Nairobi area, in Western Kenya. Then I want now, because I have seen people have investigated and they have pointed out these are the causes of effect and all that. Then I want to know what is the effect of fluoride, maybe in water for use in construction. So I've narrowed down, because other people have investigated and they have seen there is an effect of this chemical generally. Now I want to investigate in relation to a particular area, and I'll be able now to limit the scope of my investigation. Higher. With that, we go to, now we are moving from research topic. I have spent so much time in research topic because that's where it all begins. Never begin in a research topic. Never. Because a research topic, we can pan or beat it. We can change this even towards the last moment. Like I remember last year, there are students which you are changing the topic. The topic should not be fixed. It shouldn't. Even if some system, maybe departmental system in your institution might try to fix, like once you have registered your topic, it's like that. It should not be. Because as you investigate, if you conduct your research, you might find like there is whatever you had anticipated, because we say research is going to uncharted waters, whatever you had proposed to be the problem, you find like, aha, it's a problem, but not as major as what you have discovered. So you are still within the same research topic, but you can modify your topic. You can reframe your topic. That's why I spend so much time on research topic. Now we need to move from research topic to research title. And we do this by this. Remember the third item that we said in the previous slide is this slide. We said how to choose a research topic. The third item was limit the scope or the genre. So in doing so we are saying the third item was to limit the scope. Is it genus or genre? Genre. You can look at that spelling. And limiting this scope, you need to narrow down. We are narrowing down. And you are going to see with an example. So we are narrowing down from the topic idea that you have. You narrow down to one aspect or two aspects, parameters that you're going to investigate. And how do you narrow down? You narrow down by contextualizing. You put your research idea into context. For example, you can narrow down based on the geographical area, historical area, data, biological. Okay, let's forget this one. Let's briefly forget this. Let's briefly forget this. Let's go to material characteristics and methods or approaches. So you may find like most research that people tend to do in materials, in investigation in our structures lab. So somebody did something or is in existing, like beams, we know how to design beam and all that. But somebody now else comes and say, in this area of building, in investigating about low cost housing, I'm going to see about using recycled plastics. And somebody last time maybe was using recycled plastic as a binder, whereby you melt it and then it's used to bind the aggregate. So another researcher comes and says, now I want to see the effect of plastics when they are used as aggregates. So they have narrowed down by changing the methodology or contextualizing in terms of the approaches and also the material moving. Somebody may move from plastic and say, now I want to see rubber. Maybe you have seen like there's a problem. You go to the city, you go to Karioko market or Ikomba, you find the Gara. You find there are so many piling of waste vehicle tires. And then you say, this, because rubber, you know, it takes a long time to degrade or to decompose. It can take 100 of years without burning. So you want to incorporate it in concrete and you anticipate it to produce for you maybe lightweight concrete. So you see you have moved from using plastic to using rubber. So you have narrowed down. Remember your overall area was on maybe lightweight concrete or was on low cost housing. So both of you are in the same area, but now you have narrowed down because you want to go to the topic, research title. You are going to move from topic to title by contextualizing. Okay. So, okay, this geographical, I find it rather challenging because narrowing down this case meaning if it was done somewhere, you can say the effect or causes of building collapse. If it was done in Ghana, somebody says causes of building collapse in Nairobi. Well, it used to work, but to me, it feels like you might just be copying. Because geographically, unless you can prove to us, like somebody doing with soils, soil, we know geographical, geological maps, they are different. So if you're talking about the foundation, you want to invest in a new type of foundation, which have been done in rocky soil, maybe in the Rift Valley. Now you want to investigate it in where we have clay or sandy soil. That one is breakable. We know because it's in literature. We know the geology of different locations, and you can show it on map. But when you just say causes of building collapse, maybe the factors in Nairobi could be the same. Well, for other fields it might work, but in engineering, well, let me not go that into detail. But that's why I say forget about this. These two, they might apply to other sources, but contextualize based on materials, methods, approaches, even mechanism. Remember, somebody can be doing the same research, exactly the same research, but the data, the way they are analyzing, somebody may be going to chemical analysis. Other people, they are doing it in chemical analysis and all this mechanical investigation. Maybe somebody in water engineering in our lab. And for those people who have gone to water engineering in JKUAT, they find like there is a lot of borrowing and interaction between the civil engineering department, water and environmental lab, and the food science lab and the chemistry lab. Like I remember one machine paper chromatograph. It's used by those 3 labs. So you find like you might be in the field, your research topic might cut across the board in multidisciplinary, but they might also be investigating different aspects. So that narrowing down based even on the materials, the methods, the approach, the parameters you want to investigate helps you to narrow down. Let me put it this way. You have an idea. Then a topic could be collapse of building in Kenya. Somebody now in topic may come and say, effect of building collapses in Kenya. That has been investigated. Don't go to that. Causes of building collapse in Kenya. That one is on. Somebody may want to know the effect of construction speed on the collapse of building in Kenya. I don't know whether it has been investigated, but I know somebody might have suggested that. So now you want to narrow down. You want to go to the issue of time. Time which you lead to curing time. So maybe your experiment and test might be, although you might go to the field, but you might want to see if I cure my samples very fast, does the strength development occur at the same rate as when I cure it within the standard, maybe 7 days, 14 days, 28 days? So you see now you have narrowed down. The area have been investigated. Remember, we are not inventing a wheel now. We are beginners. We are building from other people's work. Narrowing down by putting your research topic into a certain context. All right. So now we have seen how we move from research topic to research title. And you do this by this. Remember the title. The title comes at the end. So you have your topic. We have seen how you choose a research topic from interest area, background study, and you limit your genus. And from limiting your genus, you can be able to come with a title. But let's see, that limiting genus, what happens? From your background study, you find the problem statement. So we start by writing a problem statement. And I'm going to show you an example. You start by writing a problem statement, or you know what is the problem that needs to be investigated. And that's what we said in the, I don't know the second or that slide. What makes a good research? And we said, one, is it a problem? Do you have a problem that is worth investigating? Do you have? Is it in existence? If it is there, it means there is a problem. So from the problem, and you have gone to literature, you have done your overview, you find like this much have been done, this is remaining, then you need to go down to generate an overall objective. What will be the overall aim? Because we said, from what makes a good research, the first point was research worthiness. And we said a problem that is worth investigating, and 2, what is the end goal of your research? So from the end goal, that is the overall objective will come into play. I hope you are together. Now, from the overall objective, you customize. Overall objective could be the effect of water hyacinth on the waters in Lake Victoria. And then you customize to get your title. So the title, overall objective comes from the problem statement. Title comes from the overall objective. So the title and the overall objective will almost look similar. Not the same. You can modify it. Sometimes they might be similar, but sometimes you may find like overall objective is a bit lengthy. But when you count the title, because your title has to be brief, concise, and to the point. Don't have, unless if the keywords are necessary, don't have very lengthy title. Now with the length, it depends with who is looking at it. We can have a title as short as 5 words, 4 words. I don't know whether you can have 3 words. We can have a title as long as even 15 words. But what you are saying, remove unnecessary material from the title as possible. They might be in the overall objective, but remove from here. title, because you need to make your title concise. So you say your title have to be concise, they have to be brief, to the point. And by being brief, it means it's short, but still communicates the information. So you see, we do not start by having a title. We start by having an idea. Then we have, from our literature overview, we have the problem. And then overall objective, then we generate our title. I hope now we are together up to that point. And as I said, if you have any query, there is a live chat there. You can drop your question. And also after the end of this session, if you are going to watch this video later on, you can leave your question in the comment. Towards the end, I can see we have a few people here. I might share the link on WhatsApp for those who are in GQuad so that they can ask a live question if somebody have got a live question, but make use of the chat box there. All right, let's see with an example, an illustration. I'm thinking of a research idea. I want to do a research idea. I want to do a research. And why? What motivates me is from my observation. I'm in the field of structures or structural engineering building, as most of you know. And from the observation that have been happening in the country for the past few years, we don't go more than 1 year without having a collapse of a building in Kenya. So that's my interest, collapse of building in Kenya. So from literature overview, this one I'm not going to show where I got it from, but from literature, if you just go and type, and when you are searching, don't go to Wikipedia, just Wikipedia. So you can search in Google Scholar. Let me stop sharing this. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. So if we can go to, I open, I am in Firefox, Mozilla, my browser. Then I want to talk to say collapse of buildings in Kenya. So I'm going to get some data. So these are the images showing the collapse of building in Kenya. But when I look at the articles that are being suggested here, this is just from Fox News. Well, it's good, I can read it. When I go here, this is from kind of a blog, constructionkenya.com. This is from a newspaper, The Star. This is from, I think, a developer. So you see, there are no scholarly articles here. Okay? But if I add here, collapse of building in Kenya, I see Google Scholar. Again, I have done something. I forgot to share the screen. Share the screen. I should have shared the screen. Which screen? I share my screen. Uh-oh. I should have shared that screen. So I was saying, sorry for that again. So I was saying, if you look at the information that I get, if I just type in collapse of building in Kenya, I'm going to get this kind of stories. Most of them from news, the latest news. I get from blogs. I get from newspapers. This is a developer, Wilson Homes. This is a blogs, kenyan.co.ke. So you see, it's good information I can read to get the latest news, but it's not scholarly. So what I do, if I just had here, or I search from Google Scholar, Okay. Already I have started seeing from Science Direct. Science Direct is from Elsevier. These are scholarly journals. So IOP Science, this is a journal. This is from Cambridge University, because I have said I want from scholarly journal. So I can go even to Google Scholar. Initially, I could even have started from typing Google Scholar. I go here, then I talk of collapse, or I inquire on collapse of buildings in Kenya. So you see, all the articles now that I'll get from Google Scholar are related to scholarly works. They are scholarly works, meaning they are scientific research. And this improves on credibility. So, and now I can look at these different journals that I'm seeing here. I see which one have got a full view, which one have got a PDF, which one I can read online HTML, and I can see as many as 2014. Then the other thing I look at is the year. You see, this is 2014, this is 2012, this is 2014, this is 2014. I am looking at the latest. This is 2020. 2020 is rather latest journal. Okay, I can click here full view to see whether I can be able to access. And for sure, you see, I can download a PDF. Okay, so okay, now you can open. Let me say open in Firefox. So by opening this now, I see there's somebody. He's talking of fake buildings at great development in Kenya. Then I read the abstracts very quickly. If I find like it's scientific investigation, then I can read slightly through, then I can go to what was the outcome of this investigation. But by just scrolling this, I don't see charts and data. I might know maybe it's a what we call a review of other people's work that he is doing. So it might not give me much information, but I can get an information. So you don't read into detail so much. You read the abstract, you find what they are doing in this paper, and so on and so forth. Then you go to another paper, scholarly paper. Try to look for the papers which are latest, which are not very old. This is 2019. It's not in Kenya, but it's saying a comprehensive review of failure and collapse of building structures. And you see, the good thing about this, he's mentioned something in Kenya. And so if it's a collapsing building in Kenya and somebody did it, he or she is going to quote who did that. And then you can look or search for that paper. Now, this one is in academia.edu, and I can see there's a PDF. So it means I can be able to access a whole paper. Again, I just need to click it. I see this is a review, which means he is reviewing the work that have been done. Again, right now you might not know about it, but Scopus is a well-renowned indexing number. I mean, it's recognized. So because again, you might get journal from anywhere. So, but for now, as a graduate student, if you are a graduate, you might not need to so much worry about that, but get scholarly journal, look at what they are talking about. In this paper, the study of research work related to failure and collapse of building is revealed. A model which researchers can use for selecting the journal for publishing the research work is proposed. Oh, this one is funny. I even start doubting it because he's saying he's reviewing failure of building and then he suggests a model for selecting a journal for publishing. It sounds unrelated. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that you can review and see, they tell you the cases of building. And then if you look at where they are mentioning somebody from Kenya, I don't know where is he, then you can be able to look for that paper. So from this paper, if you get a good paper, then you get an overview. So I said you are not going to read so much into details because you are still developing your topic. Then you come to what did they conclude? Because some people conclude and give recommendation for future research. If you find a gap worth investigating, then you can look for, now start narrowing down on that gap and look for other areas of interest. So let me go back to my share. We have seen how you search for journals. And allow me to maximize this. I stop sharing that. Then I go back to sharing my presentation. So we said we are looking at an example here. And I said the field, overall field determined structures, interest is collapse of building in Kenya, literature review. That's why I was taking you to how you can search for journal. Now, this is because I know, for example, in Africa and many Kenyan universities, you might not have access to some of these high-ranking journals. For me, I might have access to some journals because of my connection, and also I review for some journals like in Elsevier, I review for construction and building materials. So I can be able to access journals in that paper, articles in that journal. So you read an overview, then you get to know what is the causes or effects and remedies. Okay. Now from there, because I have seen from my review, I found that the issue of causes and effects, they have been investigated too much. Okay. So what now I want to do, I realized something from my literature review, that we already know what causes the collapse of building. We know what is the effects. People have proposed the remedies in terms of construction methodology, in terms of materials, supervision. But now I came to know that for those very old buildings, which are aged, we do not know how they were constructed, some of them, because maybe the documentation was not very good or is not readily available. So, but we have had cases, although it's rare for an old building collapsing, because concrete structures usually fail during the construction stage as they settle. Okay. So for old building, then I wanted to know, or I'm trying to imagine, how do we know, how do we understand what is the health, what is the structural health of such a structure? Before I start seeing a crack in a building that was constructed 20 years ago, how do I know whether the in-service structure or the structures that are in use? I realize that the gap that there is that their health status. We do not know the reinforcement inside, whether it was adequate. We do not know whether there is corrosion inside. We do not know the strength of concrete inside. Okay? We do not know whether settlement has occurred over time. So that is the gap. So, and again, another thing I realized, we can be able to get like the strength of a structure. Like if you have a slab and you want to know the strength of that slab, you can do what you call core cutting. You can go drill cores. Core cutting is whereby you go, with the machine, and then you cut a concrete core, you bring to the lab for testing. But if it's a structure in existence, remember that is destructive testing. So I want a case whereby I'm not destroying somebody else's structure. I'm not interfering with the structure. So I want a testing method where it's undestructive, and I'm not going to interfere with your structure. So I'm thinking of old structure. I want to know their structural health without coming into contact with them. So I look at the methods of conducting tests, non-contact. And one of the methods that I know, or with further studies, is that we can use images. We can take photos. Taking photos using drones. Then those photos, I can be able to analyze them to see the deformation or the strain that I have developed over time, if I had a frame of reference in the initial place. So from that, I narrowed down to my research topic. I say, structural health monitoring of aged buildings in Kenya using digital image correlation techniques. And this is a topic that I'm developing. So now with this topic title, I can copy it and then type it online and want to see what other people are doing. Now, the scope of this work, remember what you said, the good topic. Is it feasible? Now, for an existing structure, for example, a multi-story building, taking photos, cameras without a drone might be impossible. But can a graduate student afford a drone within the budget? So then this one, I strip it off for the graduate. If not that, I still have the same, but I can modify, but then I go to the lab. I create a prototype, sample model of a wall, for example. Then I can be able to set my camera using tripod stand, I can take photos, and then using digital image correction technique. Digital image, or what is called DIC, is that you take one image, you load, you take another image, you load, you take another image. As you are loading, you are taking a movie because you want to take consecutive images. So what will happen is that from the photos, you can be able, I know you have not studied about this, but you can be able now to understand or to study the deformation characteristics or the strains that are development over the whole field of the world. Well, this is a research that is still under development, but I wanted to show you how. Somebody may just come like in a graduate student, just stop there. They want to know what maybe up to that point. And then maybe this one still becomes a problem. They say, we found a gap whereby health of age in service structures is unknown. So we want to develop a model or a method in the lab, how we can be able to assess, maybe in the lab, maybe using numerical investigation, for example, FEM softwares, because you know you do not have the capability of the lab equipment to do the test. So softwares, you create a model and then you're going to test it. So there are various ways you can narrow down from this part, because now from this gap, we are jumping to the objectives, and then from the objectives, we are jumping now to the title. So that's how you develop your research topic or title. We have a break. This break, I want to see whether there is any question. Okay, so far, no question in the chat area. I know it might be quite a talk, but I'm quite sure that you are getting some ideas now, how you'll be able to narrow down on your research as you continue. Then let's see. We have seen, if it's like a review, we have seen what is the research topic, what differentiates topic from title. And then we have seen what makes a good research, from whether it's research worthy, whether it's feasible, and what are your interests. We have seen how to choose a good research topic from the interest area, from the background study overview, and then you limit the genus. And then you have seen the sources of research topic, from literature, from recommendations, from ideas that pop up from the current news. But once you get the information, you have to come to read the literature. And then finally, we have developed a sample of how you have an idea, or how you can move from the idea using a real example case, and then you develop your research title. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. So you can digest that as time goes by. I didn't want to go into research proposal because you are not yet at research proposal. So what we have now here is, let me see, there is an email here. There's an email. Let me see. Mohammed Omar, you're saying you're already logged in. Great presentation. Why did you send an email? Put it in the chat box there. So I don't know whether what is the name of this guy? I'm looking at the email that sent me. Derito Dennis. Derito Dennis, if you are here together with us, can you say something? I want to know whether I can use your idea, the one you sent me, to show, to illustrate to these students. Derito Dennis. Okay. And by the way, for those who are here, maybe we have new members. I know I was with you in 4th year, and most of you know about this platform. But if you are new here and you have not subscribed, please don't leave the channel without clicking that subscribe button. And also liking and leaving comments later on. Okay, if we don't have a question for now, I know you might have them later on. You can put in the comment section and I will respond to you if you have some queries that need clarification. But before I go or I finish this presentation, I want to show you, and this is not fixed, cast on stone, because this is typical for students in GQuat. In our department, we are going to assess the final year project when they do the presentation, but this is now a proposal. So later on, maybe I'm going to show a topic, a title. I'm going to make another presentation, maybe on how you make your proposal. But today I wanted to focus on. So by focusing on problem statement, topic, and title, it means I'm focusing on a research concept. Once you have research concept and it's approved, you go to the proposal stage. Proposal stage, you prepare, now you have to have different sections showing us which methodology you are going to use, literature review that you have, and so on and so forth. So from that, there are the assessment that is conducted. And this is typical in GQuat. I know in other universities, they might have a different format. But overall, even if you're not being assessed, can you look at these sections? 1, clarity of the title. Is it clear? Do we understand? From the title, reading the title, can I know what you want to investigate? Is it relevant? Because if it's, by relevance meaning, I mean, in our field of study, does it help? Is it, we said a good research should be, we should ask yourself a question, who is going to benefit? And now here we have seen, so-and-so is going to benefit. Or it's going to benefit the construction field. It's going to increase the body of knowledge. So that's the relevance. Innovativeness. Innovativeness is, and even if that guy is not here, I think for the sake of student, for the sake of student, it's always good to use the real life examples. So let me share what? Let me share. I want to open here. I want to get my email. And then I see whether I can get that guy. I'm opening my email. I'm opening my email now. So with this email, I go to okay, let me now share with you. I want to share these. What are you going to share here? I want to share. I hope it's being projected on the, I'm still waiting for it to project on your screen. And on YouTube. Okay, YouTube, of course, is always slightly behind. So just wait for it. Dennis. Okay, I can see it's coming. So this is an email by Dennis. Even if you're not here, my apologies for using your email, but I think it's not that private. So Dennis was asking me, why did I go backward? Dennis was asking me He has a topic on multi-story car park at Thika Town. Modeling, analysis, design, bar bedding schedule, and structural BQs for multi-story car park at Thika Town. So it's a topic that you want to do. But this one, I call it a project, and we are going to see why. He is saying he wants to do modeling, he wants to do analysis, he wants to do design, he wants to do bar bedding schedule, and also structural bill of quantities. So what I believe we want to do is that get a code, BS or Eurocode, and then conduct the design. It's okay. But remember, there's the same project you did in fourth year, structural design. You had a project of design. Here, we are not saying it's bad, but we are talking about a research topic. So, and then I ask, what is the problem? He says, car parks are a major problem in most towns, in that they are inadequate. So there's a problem, or there's a shortage. So the problem is a shortage of car parks in major towns. So your project aims to address this problem by coming up with a multi-story structure designed and modeled with Proto structure and AutoCAD softwares. AutoCAD is detailing. He is just going to design, but the problem he is talking about is shortage of car parks. So if your problem statement is a shortage of car parks, what parameter, what measurable quantity, what is a measurable quantity that are you going to say, I took this parameter to quantify or to be able to address, to represent the shortage of car parks, such that at the end of my research, the research output, I will say, from the result of my analysis, I can be able to say that my research project have addressed this problem of shortage because this parameter have reduced by this much. So there is a disconnect between the topic and the problem statement here. If he was saying that if we wanted to show that Proto structure is more efficient than other softwares, and he compares between two softwares, and then he compares between the actual calculation, maybe manual calculation, and he shows us that one of them is closer to the actual solution. So you'd be saying the problem is inadequacy of existing software, or they are designing, or they are designing, so that by conducting a design, he is able to address the problem of over design or inadequacy that is in that software. But now here, the problem of shortage of parking and just doing a design in the office, does it address that shortage? So my response was here, if you can be able to read this, I told him like this, because I don't want to dismiss a student. I know you have thought about it. So I said, while design project is good for your practice as a student, it's good for practice. And in my YouTube channel, I posted last year's 2 projects of design because I found them, they were able to integrate a number of softwares. Yeah. But it doesn't mean, I say sometimes as an undergraduate, you might allow it to pass, especially when the people are very tired and the group is too long. But ask yourself, the problem statement, is there a problem? Or does my research, you know, you can give us a very sweet problem statement, but are you addressing? By just coming out with the blueprint, coming out with the structural design, coming out with what? Because you're going to come with drawings in blueprints, you're going to come with the design booklet. How does it address shortage? You get me? And I have shown you how you can modify. If you still want to do design, how you can modify so that the problem you are mentioning is what you are investigating. But don't give us a problem in this ed, then you head this direction in the investigation. So I told him, while a design project is good for your practice as a student, if you're just going to do a typical design where you use a code and follow the normal design procedures, there is no problem that needs to be addressed because the code is already there. Unless if you want to tell us there is a shortage in the code and I want to use another method of design. Remember, the problem you are talking about here is lack of implementation by the relevant authorities. Okay. So it's only that they have not implemented, but the solution is there. So that may not suffice as a problem statement for your topic. But somebody else can come and start addressing the issue of shortage of car parking. So that person, I would try to imagine he is in urban planning. And it doesn't mean that you cannot do that. Remember, you allow multidisciplinary type of research. But now if you do that urban planning, I will send you to transportation engineering. You'll be at transportation, maybe transportation, other urban planning and all that. Like Professor Gary can guide you very well in that. So that you tell us about spatial planning and location of where we can be able to have multi-story building. Then you start calculating of the volume of vehicles that can be will be occupied. You don't even need to do design at that stage now. The volume of vehicles, the number of people that flows, you need to get the traffic studies. Even if you don't do it, the primary data, you can correct from previous studies, the traffic data entering Vika town, and then you're able to tell us that a multi-story building or 6 floors can be able to accommodate this, and you show us the logistics, how the vehicle are going to enter and leave that area. All that you show us. Now the planning and the maps that you are going to give us are not structural design maps. These are planning. And we are going to say it's a very good and a very novel idea. Okay. So, and I give them an issue, a sample here of a typical problem statement. So I said, and I have done a guy in masters, though he never responded to this, but I had expanded it. Now I have stripped it down. I said, a few years ago in Kenya, actually we know, there's a time that Kenyan government stopped cutting down of trees because of the issue of deforestation. So with this cutting down of trees ban, we need to get an alternative timber because steel is still expensive. We have lightweight steel these days, but we want to see an alternative timber. And for those people who are interested in this research, this kind of a research, I would tell you, you just Google some people called Jijenge. Jijenge, they are using recycled plastic to make paving slabs. Recycled plastic, they add sand. They melt the plastic, and then they incorporate the sand, and they make very strong, very, very strong paving slab. Even they have higher compressive strength than the normal concrete. Not slab, sorry, normal concrete paving slab or these cabros. So from this problem, I said, we can have alternative timber. Recycled plastic. Imagine trying to make timber plank or plank. I'm calling it timber, but it won't specifically be timber. Timber plank that have been made with plastic. Now, in the previous studies, and I have given some reference here, it was found that recycled plastic, when it's molten and you remold the plastic, it have got very weak modulus, low modulus. So to improve this modulus, I am imagining if you can use fiber reinforcement, you can use standard fiber, right? The synthetic fiber, but you expect it to be expensive. So if you now replace this fiber with alternative fiber like sisal, although I doubt whether the strength of organic fiber is adequate, or you use like recycled wire fibers, like from the tires, you get the wires inside and then you use it. And then you make timber planks of a certain dimension. And then you go to the lab, start testing them against fracture, against axial loading, compression, against buckling, because we know the design of timber truss. We design them as short struts and ties. So axial loading. So you do those kind of tests. So you can see, you can try to now investigate using different fibers or different methods. Like you can see, you can even try using sand, although it will be heavier and it will make your roofing heavier. But you can try to see, does the modulus increase? And I gave sample literature review here. And you can also search in Google Scholar. So that's how you develop your research topic. Okay. So again, I stop sharing this this email. I go back to sharing what do you call it? We are sharing my slides. Oh, this presentation is going longer than I expected. I wanted it to be 2.5 hours. Oh yeah, it's okay. I wanted it to be 1.5 hours from 9:30 to 11. And for sure now we are 2 minutes finishing. So okay, there are some questions here. I'm going to look at them. But let me finish this. Although I said today I was not talking about proposal, when your concept is gone through, during the concept presentation, we just say the topic is approved or not. We do not award marks. So we say whether it's feasible, it's approved or not. But when you start developing the proposal, we award scores. And this one will contribute to your grade as a graduate student in your first semester, final year. It will contribute to your ranking. So we look at the clarity, relevance, and how innovative. So we found that proposal by Dennis was not that very innovative because it's just doing normal design. It's good for practice, but not innovative, unless if you modify. 2, we look at the research objectives and justification. Have you stated them clearly? And remember, your research objective has to be SMART. And by SMART, I like writing for students, I know. SMART, it means specific. So you don't just have a broad thing. Measurable. Are they achievable? Are they realistic? And then they have to be time-bound. So that's what we call SMART, S-A-M-M-A-R-T. So specific objective. You don't just say, overall objective can be to investigate. If you're going to investigate the effect, yes. But now specifically, what is that thing that you're going to investigate the effect? We are going first to determine maybe the compressive strength. We are going to determine the proportion of fluoride in, it's specific thing, and then is measurable. Can we quantify it? Remember when you say to investigate the effect, it's overall objective. Investigate the effect, you cannot measure the investigation of the effect. That's why you break it down to be able to investigate the effect, what are you measuring? Is it achievable? Of course, achievable and realistic is the scope and also the resources that you have and the time limitations. Okay, so that one tells about achievability, realistic, and being time bound. Then we also look at the literature review. Remember, literature review is very important, but again, don't just go and copy a book and paste it for people to read. I'm also going to show people later on how to do a presentation. I know it takes time, and I'm not saying that I'm the best in presentation. But if you look at what I've been presenting today, these slides, they are different from Word document. I'm not just copying a paragraph, lines, and putting them here. In fact, I am putting words here along sentences because students need to read. But most of what I'm doing is I'm putting a point, I am talking, I'm explaining. And because I've not written it, I will not be reading the slide. I'll be talking to my audience. So I'm trying as much as possible to look at you in this camera. Yeah. Even though sometimes because I am writing down here, you might find me looking down here. But basically, I'm trying to have that interaction with the student or with the presenter. So in literature review, don't just go copy, summarize it. Put it in point form, tabular form, in a table. Summarize it in 2 slides. Okay? Because again, you're not going to teach. Sometimes the people seated there, they might have advanced in that field so much, so you're not coming to teach them. Again, you might be talking to people who are not in that specific field, so you don't go so much deep. So you just need to put a summary, point form, and then we know what is there. From the literature review, we want to see the gap. Okay, from literature review here we must show us what is the gap. Summary. Then methodology that you are going to use to achieve your objectives. Work plan and budget, quality of presentation, citation, and references. And for each of these, For each of these, each one of these, there are marks awarded. Like for this one, it carries 10%. Remember, this is proposal. This is not the next the concept presentation. Now, for good research objectives, from well-formulated research objective, again, you get your 10%. Then for literature review, you get 20%. Why a lot of marks that I have said you don't have to say much? Because this is where we get a gap. So you want to know whether you read, whether you have reviewed the journals, whether you have read books, whether there is a problem that is worth investigating. So once you finish your research objective and methodology, we want to see that gap. So 2 to 3 to 4 slide maximum. Maybe during the concept presentation, you can have 4 slides because you are talking much of literature, you want to see the gap. But later on during proposal and other presentation, 2 slides, I find them enough for undergraduate student. Okay, for PhD, you might extend, for masters, you might extend, but majority of my viewers today's session, I know they are undergraduates. So you look at that. So methodology, you get 10%. Then work plan and budget, we want to see whether you can be able to achieve within the scope. So you can see you lose some marks if you don't show us that. Quality of presentation. This is very important because you get 10%. So by the time if your slides are so crammed, they are so busy, you lose some marks for that. If again you are just reading through your slides and you make other people read, you punish them by making them read through the slides, they are going to award you slide marks. Remember, as you are talking, people award you marks, and then different panel members, we average marks. So by that, it means if so many of, like if you are 5 of us or 4, and you have pissed off a number of them, then the score will be low because it's weighted, and many people have given you low score. Remember, you might not please everyone, but if we are 4 or 3, minimum we are 3. So if you are 3 of us, and you have certified 2 of them, so we give you, for example, quality of presentation, we give you 9, and somebody gives you 4. That is almost immaterial. You might disregard that. Okay, so don't be worried about that, but try your best and look at that. And then finally, your citation and references. Citation is inside the text, inside your presentation. Like in literature review, we want to know you read the work by this person. So Simon 2019, we want to know that is the work that you read. And then references at the end, you can have a table. But this one may be during the proposal stage. But after that, during the other presentation, the progress, I don't know whether I don't think the referring is necessary. This is the last slide, the reference. So this one carries 5 marks. And that gives you about total of 70. Okay, we are past the 1.5 hours that I wanted, so I am stopping there. Remember, I have said this last slide is presentation, is an addition. It's not what I was presenting today. So later on, we might see how to write a good proposal and how to make a good presentation. Okay, so that's all. That brings me to the end. And I look at a few questions here. Kenya, you're asking, is it a must want to have a case study? No, it's not a must. It's not a must. So this part here, this is, I know maybe I made because of saying Kenya, because I said Kenya, maybe you thought it's a must to have a case study. No, it's not. I can say structural health monitoring of aged building using digital image correction techniques. So you don't have to necessarily have that. But if your work have been done in other areas, but it's particular only to a certain region, maybe it might help a worker, a reader, to know. For example, if you're talking about soils have got different characteristics from different zones. Okay, but about structural health monitoring, right now in Korea and Japan, they are monitoring the health of aged bridges using the drones and this technology. So it's an ongoing work. So why now I was saying I might try to customize that aspect of digital image correlation, and then I use it in Kenya because it's in existence somewhere. So it's not necessarily to have a case study. Peter Otieno, can you please clarify on the concept bit of a research? Concept. Okay, research concept. Research concept is topic plus problem statement. That is in summary. Research problem is concept. Sorry, it's not topic. Let me go back. Research concept. Research concept. I want to see whether it's made a problem statement. I want to see whether I made a problem statement. This is the research concept, if you can see this slide. This is where you move, you are showing the title together with, you remember the problem statement? The problem statement here at the background study is the research, your research area. So when you have a title and you have formulated the problem statement and some objectives, that is the concept. So concept, if you're going to see your supervisor for the first time, you can go with a title and a problem statement or a brief background. What do you want to do? That is the concept. But if you just go with one sentence, sometimes I find that you yourself might also not know exactly the direction, because we want to see a case whereby you have a title and you have found a title from the topic. You came with a topic, you read about it, you found a problem statement, so you formulated a title, and so you are going to write a title, problem statement, and then show the objectives, the proposed objectives, because they help us understand or guide you which methodology can I use to achieve these objectives. Jesse Morezi, you are asking, in part of objectives, if one has several objectives, is it necessary to have an overall objective? Yes. You always have an overall objective, and then you have specific objectives. Because the specific objectives are the one we are saying they are smart. The overall objective might not be specific. Like I said, investigation or this study is on effect of collapse of buildings in Kenya, or effect of collapse of aged building, or effect of collapse of building in blah, blah, blah. Effect of collapse of reinforced concrete building. Effect of collapse. But now in the effect of collapse, we are going to maybe look at the material aspect, workmanship, time of construction, the speed. So those are now will come into the specific. So the time maybe you're going to measure or to determine the compressive strength through core cutting test. So you want to see the long time strength development. There is the result that you got in the lab or you found from the consultant were taken during the construction time. And then 5 years down the line, you do the core cutting. You want to see long time strength development. So those will come to specific objectives. Okay. So that's it. I don't see further question on that. So if you are comfortable with that, of course, if you have any other question as you watch this video later on or any other thing, you can always leave a comment and I'll try to help where I can. Why I found it important to give this kind of a presentation is because if I keep on helping one student at a time, it will be overwhelming to me, and sometimes we do not have time. But once I have given you this overall talk, now you can go and improve. Now we are talking, I was saying we are about almost over 50 students. So we thought, and I know the others who are going to watch later on, and the others, again, the others who even not in our university who are going to watch later on, even next year and other years. So this is disseminating knowledge and passing it to, preserving it for posterity. So with that, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you all for attending. And I wish you well as you, and welcome you into the field of research. It's interesting, intriguing. Remember, you are venturing into new grounds. Sometimes you might be frustrated. The results are not forthcoming the way you are expecting. But by the time you get that final result and then you do your presentation, you will be happy. And especially when you bring out something that have helped, even if it's in a very small manner, that helps to advance the body of knowledge. You'll feel satisfaction within you. And we hope by the end of it all, if you are going to come into the field of research, maybe you become a researcher, you are the people who are going to advance the technology to the next level. So that's it from my side. Thank you, Mohammed Omar. Thank you, Dr. I'm honored, the privilege to have that. So just an announcement. My students, those who are here, inform any other person who I'm supervising in JQuat that we shall be meeting on this Thursday. So by this Thursday, I mean date 10 of June 2021, because I know this video will be here until next year. So somebody may think it's that time. So I'm talking about 10th of June 2021. We shall be meeting in the afternoon. In the morning, I have exam invigilation. So from maybe 12 there, we can talk. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Remember to popularize this channel by sending to your friends, sharing, subscribing, and all that, notification bells. Let's keep learning. Learning never ends. Bye-bye for now. See you.